Okay, I can't get this out of my head. Tiger King ruined the idea of zoos. And up here, like you see something, then you're just like, oh, were we tricked? Is all zoos like this? Like, bit about like going to the zoo, right? And now I'm just like, oh, gotta be safe. Or now I don't know if I'm being offensive or defensive against the zoo or not. Zoo. When I was a kid, a zoo was the one place you go to, and you just replace field trip. Like when they're like, "Oh, we're going on a field trip." That meant like two places. You're going to the museum or you're going to the zoo. And what sounds cool as a kid? The museum, or we're the animals, right? Like, hello. So you'd go to the zoo, right? And the zoo was cool. You had animals, things were happening around. In fact, like grew up near LA, so you go to a zoo out there and you see Betty White with like a giraffe or something. Like she was, I don't understand. And as a kid, you're like, does Betty White own that giraffe, or does she own the zoo? And two, like this giraffe was like kind of, I mean, no offense to the giraffe, because I quite actually like giraffes. More on that in a second, but I mean, this thing's neck. I don't know why I did that beforehand, because everyone's like, what happened to his neck? The giraffe's neck was all like crooked. Now, looking back and just being a complete idiot, Betty White was doing those Snicker commercials where she was like a football player and she was like running into people. And I was like, oh my goodness. Because now, see, Tiger King has ruined and poisoned all of my thoughts. I was like, oh my god, does Betty White practice her football techniques on these poor animals? And this giraffe got all tweaked out of shape, and now she's like, trying to nurse this giraffe back to health. Of course, like all of that is not true, right? Like at all. Of course, all of that is like not true at all. But I mean, could you imagine? I mean, Betty White would mess up. I mean, she's a look. I would say if Betty White and The Rock had to get into a gym, I mean, Betty White all day. All right, with or without the Snickers. I mean, the Snickers would probably help, But I mean, like, especially because like he's got the Z energy and all that stuff, which, all Betty White needs is a Snickers, and I mean that's all. I'm trying to think of that guy who eats spinach, but it's just Popeye. Haha. See, I beat you to it. I wasn't racing anybody, but one guy's like, ooh, almost had him. Gotcha. All right, so where was I with this whole zoo thing? Oh yeah, this giraffe. Okay, so I mean, yeah, that whole thing that I just said was not true. I mean, Betty White, tough as nails. I'm not trying to get on her. She's a lovely person. She like helps and makes sure like the facility and the animals like run safe. I mean, I don't know anything, but I'm assuming that the first thing I said, definitely not true. The second stuff about her being like a wonderful person and a complete and total badass, and also like a nice and probably a huge supporter of like a safe, nice environment for these animals, that's probably way more believable than her practicing football technique. So I'm just trying to draw the line here for anybody who's like, hold on, this is totally true. Betty White is like knocking animals over in zoos and making giraffes' necks all crooked. No, 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 no. That's not. No. Actually, I can't remember what happened with this giraffe and why its neck was like that. It was very like sad, and they tried to do everything they possibly could for it. I remember it was in the news for a long time. This was like many years ago. But well, actually, I don't know if it's now because again, now I'm just connecting things that don't make sense. But if you've seen giraffes fight, right, like after this, if you take nothing away from this, I guess I'm not recommending going and watching these things, but it is kind of ridiculous, right? These giraffes like start fighting with their necks and just are just wailing on each other. It is the craziest thing you've ever seen. But anyway, so maybe that's why its thing was all like that. Actually, giraffes are, now that I'm just going full blown giraffe and have to both, because now I make jokes and then I defend. Don't know why. But these giraffes, I mean, you got to give it to them because at the zoo, you know, when going back to when you're a kid or anytime, when you go to the zoo, sometimes you can feed the animals, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but one of the only animals you could feed were giraffes. And so, that's like the coolest thing ever. And especially like when I was a kid, especially like when I was a kid, actually until I was like 18, 20, I did not grow tall. I was very short. So giraffes were like super cool because they were huge and they could reach on top of trees. And I'm just thinking as a kid, man, if that was that tall, I could reach the top shelf. You know what I mean? Because that's the top shelf, right? For most, I hate to spoil this for a lot of parents out there who are going to be like, don't tell my kids. No kids watch. But for anybody who's like, where did the good stuff? It's always on the top shelf, right? No matter what it is, like snacks, you always put snacks on the top shelf, hard to reach. Even here in this house where it's just me and my girlfriend, I put all my good snacks on the top shelf because she can't reach up there. I mean, hello. I mean, it's just pure tactics. So, looking at like the whole giraffe business, if I was a giraffe, well, not if I was a giraffe. If I was a giraffe, I guess I wouldn't be in the house trying to reach on a top shelf. But you get my point here. I always admire the giraffe because, like, look how tall that thing is. I won't reach up high. It turns out that actually, when I grew up and got taller, I didn't really want to be that tall. I didn't like enjoy being. Well, yeah, no, I did. I enjoyed being like small. It was quite easy to like get around and maneuver around in places. When you're tall, like everything is. I mean, it's not like a challenge or anything like that, but I mean, it does make things way more difficult, especially like, and I don't know why I'm like bringing this up, but when I was a kid, like you could see it like as when you look at like you adults, like being tall did not help them at all. Like especially with hanging out with kids. I mean, I guess that's a bad combo, anyways. But like, yeah, I remember like trying to play like hide and go seek in a house, and the adult had no place to hide. Right, like you hide behind a door, maybe like a curtain or something, because it's just too tall, right? It's not the age or anything like that. Just there was no place like to hide. At one point, they hid in the shower thing, because there's the curtain. But like they were trying to like back up against the corner, and they like accidentally turned on the shower. So I was like, you're trying to walk around going, where is everybody? And you just hear, ooh, ah, 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 ah. And you're like, what is happening? And then they're just hiding in the shower, and they turned it on accidentally. And you're like, you're either trying to get caught or this is the greatest thing that I've ever witnessed as a kid trying to play hide and go seek. Like I just won the jackpot. Like you're ever trying to win the jackpot of hide and go seek, how you start and within the first like 30 seconds, somebody turns a shower on themselves. Like one, you win, and two, hilarious, and three, now you get the laugh around the house telling everybody, right? And everybody pops out going, what? Like they're either laughing and then you're like, hey, I found them. Or two, like, and they come out and they go, wait, what was this story? And it's just a barrel of laughs. Sometimes telling a story over and over again, it's funny every time for a while. Where was I? Oh, yeah, these giraffes. Giraffes. So the zoo, and this whole like Tiger King business, it messed up the whole kid and caboodle. Because now are they good? They're bad. And then here's where it gets. I mean, it doesn't get crazy after this, and I don't know why I'm like holding true to the zoo thing here, but later on, right, like after that thing came out, I went out to Arizona, and they had this place called like Out of Africa, I think is the name. I'm not gonna like throw shade, so I'm not gonna put up the name or anything like that because I don't hate anything. Uh, but this Out of Africa place, so there's a zoo, right? And it was like a privately run zoo, and they like don't like it was like free range or something. And they like protect, and it was all like wild science. And now it's like, do you trust anything? No, I'm just kidding. Uh, But of course, like I went there, I was like, oh, that's cool. Because you gotta, try in good faith, right? Just go, hey, that's gotta be, what they're putting out is they're good message. And lo and behold, as I ran into another giraffe, and this time, it was a more of a bonding moment for some reason. So they were this out Africa place, and you go on this safari. But I mean, they take you out into this kind of wild area where the animals roam free, not the dangerous ones, because then you would just have well, I mean, you get it, and I don't want to describe it because sad. But the dangerous ones are like kept away. In fact, like they do have like a whole thing though with some of the dangerous ones. Like they do have this like the thing with tigers, but the whole bit is like they're animals, so they don't train the animals. They just let them be animals, and they just provide this like safe like habitat for them. So it's like, oh, these are tigers, and they're tigers, so we don't train them. So if they attack us, it's a tiger attacking us. You're like, wait a minute, what? What are you telling us here? So wait, you're okay. All right, I mean, pretty straightforward, but what? So at any point, this tiger could just attack you for real, and we're all just gonna be sitting here watching it. Like, what is? Like that was like the whole like safety protocol was like, hey, we're gonna try and do these thing where we kind of like hang out with these tigers, but they're tigers and we don't train them, so if they attack us, they're attacking us. And you're like, oh, all right. So back to the safari thing. We're out on the safari and we run into a giraffe. Ooh, because I guess like because they're all wild, there's no like guarantee you're gonna run into any things. So you run into this giraffe, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna feed the giraffe." See, I'm telling you, it's a thing. Wherever private, not private, you're always feeding a giraffe. So they're like, "Oh, we got some carrots. You want to feed a giraffe?" And so a couple people did it. And then the driver, I don't know, bored at her job or just trying to have a little kick herself, was like, all right, so now is anyone willing to put the carrot in their mouth and have the giraffe eat the carrot out of their mouth? Right? Now, so we're going to stop right there and rewind. When I was a kid, right, and learning how to feed the giraffe in the first place, of course, when you're a kid, everything's like an educational moment. So they try and tell you, like, hey, a giraffe eats really interesting. It eats, it swallows, and then it regurgitates it, and then swallows it again. So it's got to eat it twice. And, you know, I don't know why I'm giving you this knowledge now, but I figured there you go. So fast forward, with that in mind for some strange reason, they're like, hey, you want to feed the giraffe? And maybe that's why I know we wanted to do it, because we all remember that. And I was like, well, I don't know if I don't know if I want that. And then this lady, because nobody offered, right? There's no takers. This lady was like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna move. Right? And that's what she told us, right? She didn't just not move and say anything. She like got on the whole microphone thing, and was like, all right, fine. If no one wants to do this, then I'm not moving the car. And that right there was like enough for me to go, well, I mean, if there's no takers, right? I mean, if this is the only way we're going to move this thing along, which I don't know, that's not really like a moment to stand up and take an offer. But I was like, here's my opportunity. So I got up. I shot up. I didn't just get up. I was like, this is my chance, right? So I got up, went over there, got the carrot, did the whole thing. And the whole business was like, I mean, it was not enjoyable. It wasn't unpleasant. No, it was not enjoyable. I'm not going to give any credit because what I'm about to describe, nobody should be guessing anywhere between. It was a giraffe. What do you want from me over here? But the giraffe, like, tongue and all, just all over my face. Got the carrot like on the first try, right? The carrot was gone in like a second, but then it stayed to make sure there was nothing else. Which I guess like for an animal makes like complete sense, but for me I was like, all right, that was not fun at all. All right. But I figured, you know, having you only get few moments like this, right? Like you're up in front of the bus, whole crowd in front of you, there's a chance to make people laugh. You're gonna take it, ish. So I turned. My girlfriend's in the back. I go, I got this. So I go, hey, babe, you better, you better straighten up. You better act up, cause there's some competition out in the wild. I mean, you know what I? And she looks at me, looks at my grandmother. Sorry, grandma, but it's part of the story. Looks out at the giraffe, back to me. This all happened in like 5 seconds. I'm dragging this out for way too long. And goes, that's okay, Nick. Right? Because make sure everybody now knows who this guy is saying this dumb thing. It's a male giraffe. So, and I was like, oh, dang it. That's when the whole thing kind of backfires on you. It's not a good look. So, you know, that encounter with the giraffe. See, it's a very roller coaster of a ride for these giraffes and me. This has nothing to do with Tiger King. I figured, and ruining it. I just like went on a roller coaster at the zoo. But sometimes, monkeys see, monkey do. You know what I mean? That was a great. That wasn't a great thing, but it was greatly used once, right? I took my little brothers to the zoo once, and yeah, this one monkey just like did its business, and then a monkey saw that and so decided to do its business, and then it's kind of like a symphony. They all started to do it. The youngest one just kind of looked at all of us and was just like, monkey see, monkey do, and then just walked away. Like there was nothing. Like he said his business and then just left. Like I was like, oh, whoa, hey, and that was a really great mic drop moment over here. But you can't just walk off. Like where are you going, man? Like he literally just started walking with nobody else inside. I was like, you got no car, you got no cash. Like where are you going, man? Like at some point you got to turn around. He didn't. He just kept on going. He was like, that was it. I was a one killer. I killed the room, and I'm going to the next town, I guess. I was like, all right, man, like have a good one.